And now, and now,
All
it's
right.
now. Now, we're
Yeah.
live now. Now, as in this moment, this very moment, we're live now. Now is the time, and the time is now. And we are live, and this is the show. This is the SVT Podcast. Hi, this is Vince. That is
This is
Sam.
Sam. What's up, everybody?
Hey, Tyler is stuck in traffic. He's gonna try to get here as soon as he can, and when he's here, he'll be here, and he'll probably jump on and start talking as fast as he possibly can to catch up. At that point, we'll say hi to Tyler. But until then, hi Sam. How's it going, my friend?
Doing pretty good, man. Couple days removed from football. Got to watch some hockey. That made me happy.
Right? Yeah,
And
you'd have to marinate on that loss so much. You know, you had a W.
yeah. So other than that, man, I'm feeling pretty good. This past weekend while watching the debacle, I got a lot of work done on the old garage project. So as some of you know, been working on the garage. Actually, when we were doing the podcast a couple years ago, I was in the garage and I came out of the garage. I'm actually in my partner's office, so I'm hogging up a little corner. Made a huge amount of progress on the garage, which is going it's being converted back into my office slash man cave slash hangout, things like that. So
Mhm.
maybe a couple of weeks away from getting the podcast back in there. Maybe
Right,
we do a little
Spartan zone.
tour of
Yeah.
it. And yeah, so feeling very accomplished, unlike my football team. So
Right. Yeah. Getting a lot more W's in your garage than your football team. Since you
absolutely.
brought it up, let's just dive right in. You took the loss in Los Angeles against the Chargers, 31-14. Let's talk about it. I guess. What happened? What'd you see? What did you like? What didn't you
Uh,
like?
what I saw was Geno Smith getting sacked a lot. Um, Brock Bowers caught a couple touchdowns. He's on one of my fantasy football teams, which, that helped. Great. I saw some decent runs by Genty. Offensive line is still struggling. I talked about it last week, and I'm sure, Raider fans already know about this. The Caleb Rogers situation of, he's going to go in and then he's not going to go in, and he looks terrible in practice, but then, that's what's being reported, is that he looks bad in practice, but then he gets into the game, and I'm not a wholehearted believer in plus minus stats, but he comes out and he's the highest rated offensive lineman. If you're into the PFF stats, he ends up being the highest rated offensive lineman, which you should have been playing some of your young offensive linemen weeks ago, because the season was basically over in October. The loss to the Chargers mathematically eliminates you from a playoff spot, but the season was over in October and everybody knew it. So, I saw some good things. There was two good drives which led to Brock Bowers touchdowns. And, the catch that he made while falling down, a hell of a catch, hell of an effort. And in Brock Bowers only his second year is proving he's that guy. Like, he's a wide receiver one in a tight end, body position, so that was great to see. Defense, I know the score says the defense, didn't play well, but that game was 7-7 going into halftime, Vince. The defense kept you in it. It was, again, the offense and the offensive line not being able to do anything. So that game was pretty close all the way to halftime and into the third quarter, where, the time of possession battle, once again, the Raiders stink it up and they just cannot generate enough offensive plays to keep drives alive and just keep their defense off the field. So, you know, there was some good and a whole lot of bad. Moving off of the game, you move up a spot in the draft. Um, as far as, Pete Carroll, I'm still on the fence like so many Raider fans. So on one side, I've been talking about it the whole year, last offseason. I've been talking about it for years. And all Raider fans and podcasters about the Raiders been talking about this for years is stability. And that, Chip Kelly's gone. So you're already going to replace your offensive coordinator, and the offensive line is terrible. And who's coaching the offensive line? Like, do you know, Vince? It's Pete Carroll's son. It's his son is coaching the offensive line. Both his sons are on this staff, and it looks terrible. So if you're the Raiders ownership, if you're the front office, you're John Spytek, and you say, Pete, we like you. We think you're gonna do a good job, but you need to make some changes to your coaching staff. You think Pete Carroll's gonna fire his sons? I mean, I don't know. I don't know if he's gonna do that. So I
Yeah.
really believe that that may be the breaking point, in that the front office and ownership says, Pete, you got to make some changes on your staff. You can't just replace the offensive coordinator. You got to change the offensive line coach. You got to change the assistants. And he says, no, I'm not firing my sons. What father would do that? What father would want to fire his son and keep coaching the team? How's that Thanksgiving and holiday dinner gonna
Right.
um
Yeah.
at the same time, I don't blame Pete for not wanting to fire his son, but if I was Pete Carroll, I wouldn't have hired my son. You I wouldn't have hired him to be, because I don't want to be in that position. I would have been like, "Hey man, you got to make it on your own steam." Maybe if Pete Carroll was in his final year, and you're in your final year of your contract, and you're going to retire at the end of the year, maybe you do it. I just think that's bad for business to hire your son as the offensive line, and then it's been this bad. It's not like it's shown flashes of being good. It's been horrible, historically bad, so I think that could boil boil up to the surface, and basically be the exit that the front office uses to get Pete Carroll out. And it just doesn't seem like the coaching staff is on the same page as the front office. So, in my opinion, I think the order of operations, every year the Raiders order of operations is ass backwards. We've been in this situation over and over and over again for 25 years of, they hire the GM, but the GM comes in with a coach that ownership picked, and it's not really his guy, and then you hire the coach and then the GM, and it's just, to me, it's, you hire John Spytek, you gave him the 5-year deal, and to me, it's leave it to the front office, leave it to John Spytek to do his job. I think they had a good draft. I'm not a professional front office guy. I'm not a coach, but I look at some of the players when they do get some reps, they look pretty good. But like I said last week and weeks before, you go to Jack Besh, and then you don't go to him again. He gets one target a game, he catches a 15, 16-yard pass, and then you don't come back to him. Well, how is he going to get better if you don't go to him? Same thing with Bowers. You have a all pro tight end, and you're targeting Trey Tucker. You know, like, it doesn't make any sense. You know, th- r- Running the ball once and 50 play action passes in the first half of a game against Dallas. Where at that time Dallas was terrible against the run. Um, so it just doesn't make any sense. there needs to be change, and I don't know if Pete Carroll's gonna be open to that change because I think those changes start with his sons because they haven't done a good job, Vince. They've been
Yeah.
terrible at their jobs, and this is a prove it performance-based business. This is the NFL. This is the most competitive, league, in the United States, the number 1 watch sport. It's the number 1 making money sport. And the Raiders have been bad for a very long time, and fans are pissed, and you got to think Tom Brady is not happy with it being co-owner and the guy that's supposed to be putting all this together. And you know, it's complicated because then you got Pete Carroll saying he's not interested in a rebuild. Well, like the way I look at it, all you have is Brock Bowers, Max Crosby, AJ Cole, the punter, and Genty. I want to say he's a blue chip guy, but you haven't surrounded him with the offensive line. He's shown flashes, but you don't know if he's that guy. So like you already have a roster full of 1 year contracts, so you're going to have a huge turnover rate next year with the roster. So when Pete Carroll says I'm not interested in rebuilds, like what are you tearing down? Because it's kind of already torn down to the studs when you really look at it, Vince.
Yeah.
So I'm just kind of questioning the the it didn't work out this year. If you had 6 or 7 if you had 5 or 6 wins right now, and you're kind of on the outside looking in, but you're kind of a almost a 500 team or a game under. We went through it a couple weeks ago where you blew it against the Bears. You blew it against Dallas. You had all these. You blew it against Denver. So if you had 5 wins right now, I think it looks different where you can say, hey, like Pete Carroll and his staff, they've done some good things. We can say that there's just not enough talent, but the coaching is there. And I don't see that. So it's kind of hard for me on one scenario to say, let's retain Pete Carroll because we're going to add some talent and then we're going to be good. Um, I don't see it as like we're like a first round draft pick or a second round draft pick away and you add 1 or 2 free agents and then all of a sudden, bam, the Raiders are a 10, 11, 12 win team. I think they're a lot further away than that. And every time we hear about a team winning the free agent offseason, rarely does that translate over to wins. And I know a lot of people are going to say New England right now. That's an outlier when teams spend a lot of money in the offseason and they end up being, the best team in the league. Usually that blows up on a lot of teams where you try to fix it in free agency. A lot of times it doesn't work like that. Um, and then if you retain Pete Carroll, does he have the ability to develop young players? And does he have the ability to develop an offensive line? Because that was his downfall in Seattle, was that he couldn't develop an offensive line. And it looked bad there. So no matter how you cut it, it's there's a lot of conflict here in the front office and the coaching staff. It does, a lot of things don't make a lot of sense. Um, if I had to gamble, if I had to put money on it, I honestly think they might I think John Spytek stays and he hits the reset button and hires a different head coach. And I think that head coach could be on staff. I think if they were to move off of Pete Carroll, I think they could look at uh, somebody like Patrick Graham, who's the defensive coordinator. I think, half the locker room, the defense, I think they love Patrick Graham. So I think the defense really isn't the problem. The problem is the offense and the defense not getting the opportunity to get off the field. The defense has played relatively well, but like when you're on the field 35 minutes, the defense is going to break down and they always break down in the second half of games, and especially in the late third quarter or the fourth quarter, because they're on the field so damn much. So I don't know. Again, I don't know where they go from here, Vince. Like, I don't know what they do because you want to be stable. You want to have coaches that remain here so that the program has a chance to be established. But at the same time, do you just stick with it be just to stick with it? Or is there a coach out there that you think can like really do something? I don't know. I think this season there's not really a Ben Johnson that can get you, that you can get. So I think they might stick with Pete Carroll because they're going to have a top draft pick. So if you end up in the top 3 and you end up with Fernando Mendoza or Ty Simpson, maybe you roll one more year with Pete Carroll if it doesn't look right. Maybe now you're kind of like the Bears. We got a quarterback, we got a tight end, we got a running back, we got some good draft picks. The right head coach can come in and jumpstart this thing because we have the franchise quarterback, because we know that's why coaches didn't want to, why Ben Johnson didn't want to come to the Raiders specifically, because they didn't have the quarterback,
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's just one of those things of 25 years of pain. And I know there's a lot of fans that are like, we got to be patient, but there's fans who've never seen a playoff run out of this franchise. Like there's fans that are able to buy beers and they weren't born when the Raiders went to the Super Bowl and lost.
Right. Yeah.
So, so it's complicated, it's depressing, um, it's frustrating, and I don't know. Like it's one of those things. I don't know. This year hurts really bad because there was a sense of hope. There was a sense of like, wow, we got a Hall of Fame coach. We got a Chip Kelly, was a terrible head coach, but man, he put up offenses in college, and even when Philadelphia and SF, he had moments of offensive, you know, efficiency, and we didn't see any of it. And that's what hurts, because when you had the 2-win Raiders of yesteryear, there was no talent on that team. By that time, we knew the team sucked. You brought Art Shell back, and then you go into Jamarcus Russell. Then after 1 or 2 games, we knew he was going to suck. Like,
Yeah.
we knew. So there was no talent on those teams. So we knew that was going to be pain. This year hurts because you had hope, and now it's like, I don't know where to go. So I don't know what to do. I'm on the fence of, do you keep Pete or do you get rid of him? I don't know. I really don't know.
Fair enough, man. Uh yeah, so I guess I'm gonna just switch
49er
gears
talk.
entirely. Let's talk a little bit happier. The Niners, they go into Cleveland, into windy Cleveland, the mistake on the lake, and they get the W, man. It was not exactly a pretty game, but Brock Purdy gets the job done. They win 26-8, and uh, uh, there was some very key special teams moments. Right off the rip in the first quarter, you have the punt return. Sky Moore takes it down to the 16-yard line. Uh, uh, so that sets up a Christian McCaffrey touchdown a couple minutes later in the first quarter. That puts you up 7-0. Cleveland eventually, like toward the end of the second quarter, they get a touchdown right back and get 2-point conversion. But then the Niners go no huddle, hurry up, and they get a field goal to take the lead 10-8 into going into half. So I like that they were able to move the ball. Ricky Pearsall had a nice deep catch on that drive as well. So So that it was a that was a 13-yarder on a third down. It was like a 3rd and 10. It was a 13-yard catch, so that was good. Juwan Johnson only had like 4 catches, I think, but 3 of them were huge third down catches. The third and Juwan, including a touchdown on third down. So and then the other huge play was the muffed punt by Cleveland. It was a 3 and out, that punt. At the fourth quarter, start of the fourth quarter. Yeah, we recovered in the red zone, and then 6 plays later or something like that. Yeah, that was another touchdown. That was the Juwan touchdown. Yeah, so that was a third down again. So yeah, that was just seizing opportunities was the name of the game there, and yeah, so it was an ugly game. Just when it gets really windy like that, you tend to have ugly games like that. It rain doesn't really bother the players so much unless it's like torrential downpours. It's the wind that becomes a problem, and that was not the prettiest games that we've seen. But Brock out there was able to move around a lot. The toe doesn't seem to be a problem, so that's good. They were
It
saying on the
definitely wasn't a
broadcast.
problem on his little Dougie dance.
Yeah, no, he hit the Dougie on that little bootleg, and he hit the Dougie. I like that. That was
The best
that was
part
nice.
was George Kittle in the background.
Yeah, he was like, oh, like he was surprised that he pulled it out. I was a little surprised he pulled it out. Teach me how to Dougie. Teach me how to Dougie, man. Oh man, that was a lot of fun. It's a lot. It's kind of nice to have when your team's doing good, even with all the injuries. Use check. It's another running segment. Use check left the game with the I believe they said it was a shoulder injury or a chest injury or something like that. I haven't heard anything about that. I haven't heard that it's season ending or anything, so I'm going to assume that he's fine because he's a tough dude. So um yeah, so just oh man. It's always something. It's always something with this team, man. But with the win, they're 9-4. They're on their bye week, and they've already won the bye week because you look ahead, they're sitting in the 7 seed right now, which is the last team in to the playoffs. But the team ahead of them right now, 2 teams ahead of them, the team in first place is Chicago. The Chicago Bears, first seed Chicago Bears, and the 6th seed Green Bay Packers. They play each other. Loser of that team is going to fall to 7. The 49ers are going to jump up to 6. That is guaranteed. So the Niners already, no matter what, they have won the bye week. Furthermore, Seattle and Atlanta are going to play each other, and the Rams are going to play Arizona. If either one of those teams lose, Niners jump up to 5 seed, and that team will fall to the 6 seed. Okay. If both of those teams lose, if both Seattle and the Rams lose, the Niners are in the 2 seed at that point. And the winner of the Chicago and Green Bay game, that team becomes the 1 seed. So the Niners are going to do nothing this week. They're going to rest up, and they're going to move up in the rankings. It's just a question of how high up do they move up in the rankings. And I've been playing around on the Athletics playoff simulator. Right now, the Niners have a 91% chance to make the playoffs based on their 100,000 simulations according to their site. They have a 10% chance at the number 1 seed. Okay. And then a 6% chance at hosting a wild card game. So 16% chance at winning the division, which is not great odds, but basically a 1 in 6 chance. Okay. So they have to win out to do that. That's part of it. I think they can drop 1 game as long as it's not as long as that game is to the Colts, I believe. If they lose to the Colts, it's not the end of the world. If they lose to anybody else, it's done. It's a wrap. But
Right.
so they've got the Titans in week 15. They could also, in theory, lose that game, but that game, you don't want to lose that one. That one's the easiest of them all. You don't want to lose that one. And then you have the Bears in week 17 and you have the Seahawks in week 18. You can't lose any of those games to get to the division title or the 1 seed. I'm just happy that I'm still able to mathematically talk 1 seed at this point. Based on all the injuries that we've had, it's not entirely a wrap. Like the Niners are gonna make the playoffs. It's gonna happen at this point. Like this is great. But I'm just kind of excited that they're still playing meaningful football at this point. And if they can lock up a playoff seed with a win against the Titans in week 15, that would be incredible. If they're able to, and that could happen with if you know the Cowboys lose to the Lions in week 14 and then other things happen in week 15. Like there's ways for it to basically be locked up by week 15 for the Niners. They could have it all locked up, at least a playoff spot by that point. And then you go into the Colts, Bears, Seahawks, that stretch, which at the beginning of the year looked pretty easy, but obviously the Colts and the Bears are a lot better than we thought that they were, as it turns out. So those are tougher games than we thought. The Seahawks have stepped up big time. Sam Darnold, turns out the Jets were the problem. It wasn't entirely Sam Darnold's fault, you know, and the Panthers were the problem as well. So there you go. The Niners fixed Sam Darnold. You're welcome, NFL, and you're welcome, Sam Darnold. Yeah, so that's kind of exciting news for me in Niners land. I'm happy to be here. Happy to be on the bye week. Christian McCaffrey fans, if you have him in fantasy, congratulations. You're probably going. You're probably in good spot for the playoffs. If you drafted him, if you although you have bye week this week, unfortunately, so you got to figure out a replacement for him this week. That's kind of rough, but other than that, it's looking pretty good. He's still healthy at this point, knock on wood. Find every piece of wood around you. So here we go. This is the home stretch. This is good. You're gonna rest up while everybody else is taking lumps. You're getting a little bit healthier, hopefully, and your your positioning is getting better. So this is good news. Uh Man, so just around the league though, man, I think about the Vikings. um uh, we thought it was bad with JJ McCarthy. Whoever this kid is that they had playing, that was man.
Yeah, that was rough.
Seattle
Poor
took
guy.
advantage of him, man. They did not even like use lubricant, man. That was bad. They didn't spit or nothing. That was ooh. They just went in dry. Man. Anyway.
Yeah, that was in the fantasy league. The person that I was playing had the Seattle defense, and the defense put up a 35.
Yeah. A 35 spot. Yeah. Couple of pick sixes will do that, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyway. So yeah, you and me are actually playing each other this week, but we both secured our playoff spots. So this is just for positioning, really, in the
Right.
playoffs, and as we head into the final week of the season. So that's nice.
Well, I think I can't fall more than fourth.
Yeah, so you're you're
Um,
you're sitting in 3. I'm sitting in 2 right now. So
right. So, and I
basically,
think
we're playing for the bye is what we're playing for right now.
right. So, but I think even if I win and you win, you got the points. Um,
Yeah, well,
so
I mean, we're playing each other though. So
oh, that's right.
and
Yeah.
with our I believe our records are the same. No, I actually have I have a better record than you. I have a 1 game record, and yeah, I'm crushing you on points, actually, points scored. So yeah, I
Yeah.
think
So
I've locked
I
up
think
those.
even
Yeah,
if I win,
yeah,
I can't move up.
you'd have to outscore me by like 150 points or something like that. So yeah,
Right.
I think I've got the 2 seed locked up. Yeah. So anyway, that's enough fantasy football talk for the moment. I think. I was kind of riffing, hoping to give Tyler a chance to talk about his team, but he's not quite ready to talk yet, but that's okay. Um, so just real quick, I just want to give a shout out to Lane Kiffin for doing Lane Kiffin things, just being a bum. He's he's taken the LSU job and abandoning freaking Ole Miss. He said he wanted to stick around. He said he was a changed man. But he's doing some bull crap again. He's just right back at it. Just uh and he was probably gonna try to recruit some of these kids that he's got playing real well and probably gonna play for, try to go into the playoffs and the college football playoffs and try to
This
win a
has been
national
a
championship.
problem. It's been a problem for NCAA for years and years and years and years and years.
Yeah.
You know, it's out here in California with the Cal Bears. We see this every few years where a coach will come to the Bears and they get them kind of decent 8-win, 9-win team because we know the Bears haven't been a real competitive, national title contender in quite some time.
Yeah.
But if you could get Cal to 9 wins, you all of a sudden are on the radar. And we seen it with, Sonny Dykes got the Bears. I believe he started with the San Jose State Spartans, and then he goes to the Bears, and then he moves on. And I think that's the thing that sucks about college football, and um, it's ruining the sport. It's an NIL. It's I'm happy that kids are getting played, but like getting paid. But at the same time, like we need to stop thinking of college sports as this amateur sport. Like there definitely needs to be more changes. Um, and now Charlie Weiss Jr. is going to LSU, but he's going to stay and coach at Ole Miss. So you're
Yeah.
saying that he's not going to do some recruiting or so?
Yeah. It's
It's
shady.
just
Yeah.
really shady, man. And the people who are getting screwed are some of the students, that are committed to Ole Miss and want to be there, and the coaches, the coaches that aren't going to LSU, or the it just sucks. And then to top it off, you have a really good Ole Miss team that could win a national championship.
Yeah.
Like, instead of like staying there and winning a championship this year, to me, it's like if Lane Kiffin were to stay at Ole Miss this year and win a championship there, that to me is extremely impressive. And that, to have the ability to build a school program that could potentially compete year in and year out, where, you know, with all due respect to LSU, that they all, not always, but they're very competitive. They won a lot of national championships, and I don't want to say it's easy, but you know, you essentially have an endless checkbook of donors and alumni that just give tons of money to LSU, where you're essentially just buying your way onto the top. And now with NIL, you can funnel these kids into this deal or that deal. We're gonna, it just seems off, dude. It just doesn't seem right. And I don't, I'm not smart enough to have a solution for it, Vince, but it's just the whole system, the whole NCAA is shady.
Yeah, agreed. And like I said, like you said, we don't have the solution. Obviously, we know something's not good here, and something needs to be fixed. So, yeah, we're taking ideas. No bad ideas in a brainstorm. So if
For
you got
sure.
ideas, let's just start throwing shit on the wall. See what sticks. Okay. Now with that said, I think let's switch gears and start talking basketball. I switch hats. Uh, um, Throw that back there. Okay. I think I'm just gonna keep this bit going. Anyway, so the Warriors last week had some middling results. If my there it goes. Yeah, there it goes. Okay, so against Houston last week, they had a 4-point loss. No Kevin Durant for Houston. Curry had a little bit of a rough game and then got injured at the end of the game. He suffered a quad contusion near the end of the game. He's going to miss at least 1 week. Um, Draymond Green had a quote at the end of the game. He said, "Our defense is shit because it's not necessarily the numbers. Like, how do you feel when you're out there? And if it's just letdown after letdown, it's bigger than the numbers. You know what I'm saying? Defense is about demeanor. So if there's letdown after letdown and it kills your demeanor, it kills your bravado, and then you're just a soft team. So it's bigger than a number. What does the other team feel when you're defending them? And right now, they don't feel no force." And then Butler also had some quotes on the defense. He said, "You got to box out. You got to guard. All these things that we say you're going to do, we say we're going to do that. And we sometimes, but most of the time we don't. I don't care about offense. We got to guard somebody. We're good to score, but I don't want the offense, or if we are missing shots, to dictate not going and guarding on the defensive side of the ball. I'm going to play the exact same way, but we just got to guard. We'll be all right." And just to note, um, the defensive rating for the team was 10th uh, at the time that the quotes were said after that. And then they've since won the game against the New Orleans Pelicans, and that rose the defensive rating up to 7th. So that's telling me that they're seeing that the defensive rating, a team that's rated 7th in the league in defensive rating, and they think that they're leaving a lot of meat on the bone. And I tend to agree. Actually, I think that this team could probably be a top 3 defensive team if they really focused on it right now. Because there's definitely a lot of instances where they're just like they drop the ball. Literally and figuratively sometimes too.
I think, watching this team, it's like they play up to certain teams and then play down to other
Mhm.
teams, and they're just not very consistent.
Exactly.
And
They're a 500 team.
obviously not having Curry, the split stats of Curry on the floor and not on the floor, the Curry minutes, not Curry minutes, there's drastic changes offensively and defensively. It's night and day. Um, I don't know. I just see some of these younger guys as so inconsistent right now. And, you know, we all really like Pods, but he's so inconsistent. And Draymond kind of said this at the beginning of the year. Because Pods was like, I want to be better than Steph. And and Draymond was like, hey, bro, like, if you have, like, say, if you talk about that in the locker room with the guys, with me, with Jimmy, with Steph, you keep that to yourself. You keep that private, because once you start putting it out there, and the media, the podcast, they're going to hold that against you. And you just kind of got to be quiet and go about your business. And I think that's true. And, because now, like, I want him to be good, because he went to Santa Clara and we drafted him and he's being developed and he showed a lot of promise. And he's on the team that we root for since childhood. We've rooted for this team. And of course we want him to be successful, but he's been so inconsistent. And, Kaminga, whatever happened in the past, whatever happened last season and before it happened, it's over. I see the effort that he's trying to put in, but it's also inconsistent. And then there's injuries, and it seems like he's just kind of that player that when he's injured, he doesn't have 100% confidence. And when he's not 100% confident, he doesn't rebound, he can't pass, he can't shoot. It becomes inconsistent play. And I think now, because of inconsistent play from guys like Pods and Kaminga, and it's other guys too. Sometimes when Moody can't shoot, when he can't make a shot, it's like, man, you got to get him off the floor. Even though he may play good defense and this and that, it's like he can't make a shot, so then he becomes unplayable. Um, I think the young guys have been so inconsistent, which then puts pressure on the veteran guys, Jimmy Butler, Draymond Green, Steph Curry, obviously, to do more. And being a veteran team like in their with their age and how many miles that they have on their bodies takes a lot out of them. So like, they dig deep, they win a couple games, but then that affects them for the next couple of games, because they spent so much energy. So I just kind of see this team as is. It's hard for me to see them getting higher than above 5-6 seed, like as is. Um, I just kind of see, and if they're going to be a 5 or 6 seed, they got no shot, in my opinion. There's just no shot.
Yeah.
And even if you're the number 2 seed, I don't think you're good enough to get past OKC. They're just elite right now.
Yeah.
Um,
Agreed.
so I don't know what you do. Do you trade a bunch of guys to get some other guys that maybe fit a little bit better with the Curry, Draymond, Butler? Um, you know, I don't know. I don't know what you do. I'm assuming you trade whatever you can to get a better player or two that fits better with a veteran team, because the goal is to, maximize this year and next year, um, because you don't have too many years left with Curry. And I think this two timeline thing and having a young guy, a group of young guys to bridge the gap to the veterans, it's not really working out as we had hoped,
Yeah.
So
Yeah. The one opportunity you had to draft really, really high, you swung and missed on Wiseman, so that's unfortunate,
in
you know.
retrospect, the best thing they could have did was probably trade out and get a haul. you but
Exactly.
hindsight, Monday
Yeah.
Monday morning quarterback, Monday morning GM, whatever you want to call it,
Yeah.
hindsight. So
They could have gotten like Shangun or something like that later in that draft and been a lot better off in the long run. But oh well, it is what it is.
yeah.
Anyway, let's see. We didn't even really talk about the New Orleans game real quick. This was Kevon Looney's first game back since leaving in the offseason, as
This
we
guy.
welcome back Tyler, who's wearing his Warriors hat.
What's up, guys?
Hey, we're just talking Kevon Looney coming back to the Bay for his first game back. Curry was missing that game as well. Butler had 24 points. That he stepped up big in this game. He had 10 assists and 8 rebounds. Gary Payton had 19 and 11, a double-double off the bench. And Kuminga played his first game back after missing the prior 7. So the Warriors standing at 11 wins and 10 losses. They're currently 8th in the West. So upcoming games, they're playing OKC tonight.
Oof.
And then you're going on a road trip. You're at Philly, at Cleveland, at Chicago. So the schedule not doing us any favors this upcoming week. So it's looking a little rough. The next few games coming up. We were just talking a little bit about the inconsistency of the young kids, and how the vets just the way the vets have to step up so much, it just kind of wears them out. And then the vets just don't have much gas left in the tank, and then that's part of what drops them back down to 500, and that's part of the inconsistency. So anything you gotta add to that, or you want to add to that?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing too is I was just talking about this with my stepdad on the way home here. Again, sorry guys, I haven't been on for quite some time. It's been balancing work life here. I have to work a little further than what I used to be previously, but nonetheless. So Seth Curry just signed. I believe we talked about this. They just signed a 2-way contract with another guard. There's 7 guards on the roster. Why do we have 7 guards? Have you seen what? Have you seen what OKC has? Have you seen what Denver has? What Minnesota has. Like,
Well, see, what you don't understand is when everybody's zigging, you zag. Don't you know?
yeah, because it worked really good against OKC last time. I'm curious to
I
see what
know.
the final box score is going to be tonight.
Right.
Look, as Steph Curry a go, I think he was still questionable, right? If I'm not mistaken, for tonight.
I don't think he's gonna play tonight.
So there's 30 points right there, right at the get go. You're asking 7 guards to figure out how to come up with 30 points against the towering menace of, what OKC brings, and the free throw merchant of SGA. I think it's a tall task. It's yes, does the Steve Kerr love guards? That is a secret that is well out there. Everyone knows that he loves guards. But at one point, you got to look at like the roster constructions of what everybody else is doing in the league. And while small ball does get you some wins, you're going to also tire out your team. Like it's just going to happen. You're going to ask guys to do double the work of guarding guys that are double their size day in and day out, and you expect this to roll into the playoffs fresh and ready to go. It's just not gonna. It's not a realistic situation, and unfortunately, we're in a cap hell with Draymond, Butler, and Steph Curry. Stop me if you already heard this before with Clay replacing Butler, but at the end of the day, there's nothing you can do as a Warriors fan. You just have to accept that this is going to be what we're have to deal with until Curry retires or Draymond gets shipped out and retires. This is what it is. This is the reality of the Warriors going forward. As long as Steve Kerr is the coach, you're going to have a gazillion guards, and you're going to be in cap hell because we have the greatest shooter of all time. So it is what it is.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, they just don't have a lot of options. You can't trade. You don't have too much to trade to give up to bring something in, and then you don't have the draft picks to develop, and then as Vince alluded to, the one draft pick you had, you blew it. Um, but there's that's the price to pay, I think, in the modern NBA, and I think at some point other teams will deal with the same thing. OKC looks really great, but at some point they're going to have a lot of guys on some really big contracts, and they're going to have to make decisions on shipping guys out and getting younger. So, I mean, you can only pay so many max contract guys for a long period of time before it catches up to you, because you got to develop a team, but then you also got to retain your superstars, and it's hard. It's hard.
Exactly.
The rules are designed to
I mean,
reward superstars, but then to prevent franchises from having a monopoly on those superstars.
yeah. I mean, they call it the Warrior rule, but I really realistically think it's more than just that. It's the Miami Heat rule. It's what was almost the Lakers rule with Chris Paul almost going there to play with Kobe Bryant and all those guys. So yeah, the league wants parity, and it got it. To be honest with you, and I think it makes the game a little better, but it also makes you frustrated as a fan of your fan base, right? Because you're like, I want to see my guys be the Bulls. I want to see them win 6 championships, and the reality is that's not what the NBA is today, and that's not probably going to happen ever again, unfortunately.
Yeah,
No.
getting 4 chips in 9 years is what we got to experience. That 4 and 8 that we did, that's probably the best that you could hope for. Like that's truly like unheard of. That's probably
Sure. And the other thing
I
with
don't see anybody else doing
OKC,
it, man.
the Paul George Clippers trade that got them SGA and like 50 first round draft picks. I don't think you'll ever see a trade like that ever again, where you get that much draft capital coming back and you get SGA and you get a superstar, that was, you know, emerging into his prime. He wasn't the MVP during the trade,
Yeah,
but you
SGA
saw
wasn't
the
SGA at the time, but
right,
yeah.
but you saw the flashes. You saw the signs. I mean, can you imagine the Clippers if they still had those draft picks and SGA? So I don't think you're going to see a trade that one-sided. That was crazy. You know,
Well, I mean, don't forget about the Lakers and Mavs. Let's not forget about that trade, which that was rigged beyond all hell. And look at Nico. Nico is not even there anymore. He got fired.
no, but I'm
Yeah,
just
only took
I mean that's
10
definitely
months later. Yeah.
the Lakers definitely won that trade, but it's not like with the OKC Thunder, it's like getting Luka in his, right before he hits his prime, plus like what they get, like 3, 4, 5 first round draft picks.
Yeah.
So, like, that's crazy. So not only do they get SGA, but it gives them the flexibility to trade guys that they may not be able to contractually keep and use those draft picks to then replenish their roster with new players.
Right. Right.
So that's the thing, the flexibility that OKC has is that they got a shit ton of draft picks where they can trade up in the draft and get a top prospects, and now he's on that short rookie deal, or low cost deal. So they have all the flexibility in the world right now. And that's just pure genius on their part, so kudos to them. But that's a 1 in a million trade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Just one last note in basketball. Klay Thompson renamed his boat, and he renamed it after his girlfriend Megan Thee Stallion. We talked about him last week. I just wanted to bring him up again because I miss Klay. That's all. Congratulations to Klay and renaming his boat the SS Stallion. That's all.
Sweet.
I just wanted to say Klay Thompson's name again, and big ups to him for that weird dude for being able to land Megan Thee Stallion. We salute you, sir. Yeah, that's. I think that brings us to hockey talk. I think at this point, you guys ready? Yeah. All right.
Let's do it. The only thing that made me happy.
Here we go. Okay, so the Athletic did have their quarter season reports on like all the teams. This was a few days ago, so things have changed slightly. But for the Sharks, care to guess what grade they gave the Sharks?
NA.
I'll give you a hint. They're grading on a curve. So it's an A plus.
Okay.
So they said the goal for the Sharks this season was to be better. Sitting just outside the playoff position after starting with a 0-4-2 record didn't seem realistic, but here they are. Second year coach Ryan Warsofsky has pushed and prodded a receptive group that's become appointment viewing due to the ascendant 19-year-old superstar Macklin Celebrini. He isn't alone. Will Smith hits the score sheet often as a blossoming running mate, and Yaroslav Askarov is excelling in goal after a shaky start. So, I mean, absolutely right. That's Eric Stevens for the Athletic. Yeah, he's absolutely right. And I mean, they said that they're sitting just outside of the playoff spot. After this last week, I'll talk about the scores specifically in a second. Spoiler alert, the Sharks are in a playoff spot. They are a third of the way through the season. It's no longer a small sample size. They played a third of their games. We're 27 games out of 81. Out of 82. They're sitting in 7th place in the Western Conference. They're sitting as the top wildcard team. They're in the playoffs if the season ended today. That's crazy talk. But they go 2-2 over this last week. They played Colorado on last Wednesday. They got cheeks clapped. Okay, they lost 6-0. Okay, cheeks clap. You move on. All right. Askarov got pulled 5 minutes into the second period. That one was after the 4th goal by Colorado. All right, we move on. Take the L there. Then they come back on Friday against Vancouver. They get the 3-2 win. That was me and Sam's win of the week. Smith, Eklund, and Gaudette get the goals. Celebrini had 2 assists. Toffoli, Wenberg, Klingberg, Kurashev also had assists. Askarov comes back with a 941 save percentage, 32 out of 34. And flip your calendars to 2011 because this rivalry is so fucking back, baby. I loved it. There was a lot of sandpaper, a lot of
very
roughness.
chippy. Very chippy.
Chippy is an excellent word for this one. There was a lot of anger, a lot of rough stuff, a lot of hate back and forth. So this is great. I love seeing it, man. This is a lot of fun. I love that old rivalry with the Sedin twins, and if we're
Yeah.
gonna get some of that back, with all three Pedersens, no relation for them though. So that's gonna be a lot of fun for us. So it's gonna be in the chat, Papa G says it's earlier than expected. Would have figured it'd take another couple of years, but you know what? If they're playing competitive and they're in the playoffs right now as it stands, but even if they don't hold on to it, the fact that they're here and they're making noise and they're being a pain in the ass to all the other teams, I love it, and that's what we wanted from this season, right? So
Right.
here we are, and it's time. So on the second end of the back-to-back, they played Vegas on Saturday. They end up losing that game 4-3.
Man,
Smith
that was
had 2
painful
goals.
to see our old boy get the first goal for the Knights. That kind of hurt.
Tomas Hurdle.
Yeah.
He got
Yeah.
2
Yeah.
goals that night.
Yep.
Man, that son of a
Tomas Hurdle. Yeah. Smith had 2 goals though in that game, and Eklund chipped in 1 as well. Toffoli had another assist. Orlov Celebrini, Ferraro Gaudet. Nedeljkovic had 20 saves out of 24 chances. They were down 4-1 in that game, but they did claw their way back to make it interesting. So I did like that. They're even when they're down, they're fighting their way back. They're making it tough. They're being pain in the ass. That I love to see that. They're not giving up on anything. There's no when you lose 6-0 to Colorado, that one felt like a kick in the nuts, right? But after losing that badly, how do you respond, right? You come back, you get the win against Vancouver. Even though you lose against Vegas, you were down 4-1, you claw your way back to 4-3, you make them earn it, you make them fight, and you give them hell, right? And then on Monday, Tyler was able to get his win of the week in at the last second, in at the buzzer, 6-3 win over Utah. Toffoli had 2 goals. Smith had another 2-goal game. Regenda called up from the Barracuda, and Gaudet gets a goal as well. Apples from Smith. Celebrini had 3 of them. Orlov, Kurashev, and Toffoli had two more assists. Eklund as well had an assist. Askarov had 31 of 34. That's a 912 save percentage. Utah had their goalie change after the 3rd goal by the Sharks. That was about 7 minutes remaining in the first period. So as it stands right now, like I said, there are 13 wins, 11 losses, and 3 overtime losses. That is good enough for 4th in the division, 7th in the West. So our win of the week segment, Sam has 3 wins, I have 4 wins right, and Tyler has 3 wins right. So yeah, there we are.
I do want to say this Regenda kid, Pavel Regenda.
Yeah.
I'm really excited for him because he was basically undrafted. He plays with a chip on his shoulder, much like we hear a lot of players that do in the NFL or the NBA. But man, he was all over the net yesterday. I mean, he was just an absolute pest.
He almost made the team out of training camp. He was like one of the last guys sent down. He was really close to making the team. It didn't end up quite happening, but he was really close, man. It almost happened.
That was really good to watch him see. And then there's a thing that Colin Graft's been doing, and I noticed it against who did it play? Against Vancouver that he did. That was really interesting is that he's really quick on his feet. So like when defenders want to kind of get him off of him and they'll like quickly shift sides to get the defender off of him, he's on their hip. Like he is like a cornerback just hanging on to the receiver. So Colin Graff, I don't know what they're teaching, but I would love to see everyone pick that up if they can. I know it's really hard to ask as far as like that quick movement with your skates and all that, but that has been a really treat to watch. And I like watching the nuances of defense, especially, players being aggressive on the offensive end. But I mean, obviously we got to talk about Smith's goal. Smith's goal was just unbelievable.
The dirty dangle, the nutmeg,
the through the wickets, the double toe drag, and then a 5-hole on the goalie. Like that's definitely contention for goal of the year so far. It may not win, but that's one hell of a goal. Yeah, that was.
I replayed that goal like 5 times over and kept yelling at Julia, "Watch! Look at what he did through the leg, pause." It was like full speed through the legs, slow down, that little stutter step, and then explosion to get the goal. I mean, it was so fucking wet, dude.
Yeah,
It
and
was so good.
so
Yeah.
Foley got 2 goals last night. I mean, stick taps for him. He hadn't scored in like almost like a calendar month or something like that.
It's
So
13 games, yeah. But yeah, it's been building for Toffoli because he had assists in the couple of games before that as well. So, and then he breaks out with a 4-point game. So it scores. It comes and goes, right? And he broke through big time. A 4-point game, 2 goals, 2 assists. Yeah, he was due, and he delivered.
the
So
the,
that was
the,
good.
the last thing I'm going to say on this too is that last year Utah was just bullying Celebrini, just absolutely bullying him. And obviously this year there was a little bit more of it in our first meeting, but I appreciate the team coming out to defend Celebrini. Anytime anybody wanted to mess with him, they were on, whoever was trying to mess with Celebrini. But I also want to applaud Celebrini because he was hip checking people last night too. He wasn't going to be the young pup getting pushed around, man. So that was great to see too. And the way they played last night and the energy, like I know that's hard to ask every single night, but that is the energy that's going to win them multiple games into the playoffs. If they can keep that energy, I know there were some miscues defensively. I know Dickinson should have stayed on this guy a little better, but then he got better throughout the game. So I think that was a level of a team that could play in playoff games. That's the level that they were. I'm not going to say it was a cup contention team. That's counting too fast here, but that is a team that could win a game in the playoffs. I saw last night.
Yeah. Just a couple of notes over this past week. Macklin Celebrini got to 100 career points. He is the 8th youngest player to get to that mark. He's in NHL history. There are some of the players that have done it younger than him include Sidney Crosby, Dale Haverchuk, Wayne Gretzky, Pierre Turgeon. He actually tied Eddie Olczyk for youngest to at the time of his 100th career point. So those are the names we're talking about. And there's a couple of other names that Brian Bellows and Jimmy Carson and guys that played in the 1920s and 30s. That's the kind of names that we're talking about here. Okay,
right.
That's the kind of names that we're talking. This is crazy bonkers stuff that this is legendary stuff that we're getting to witness happen. And then as far as goaltending goes, the month to month splits for Askarov, I want to talk October versus November. So in October, Askarov was 1 win, 4 losses, and 1 overtime loss. Save percentage was .844. And in November, he was 8-2 with a .944 save percentage. And so that was, we saw the turnaround, and he was lights out, right? And that includes him getting pulled in that Colorado game. So including that bummer of a Colorado game, that's a .944 save percentage and the loss. Okay, so that's monster November from Askarov there. So that's so super impressive, and just the tandem, Nedeljkovic as the veteran backstop for him.
He's looked great too.
I know he had a rough night against the Knights, but he's a good solid number 2, man.
Yeah. So when you're looking at the stats overall, as of a couple of nights ago, Askarov has a .908 save percentage. Nedeljkovic has a .897 save percentage, and they're probably they're right on the bottom end of top 10, I think, in the league right now. If you're looking at it as far as a goalie,
I did
tandem.
look up Askarov. He's 13th, but there's 3 guys tied just above him. Yeah. So because of the tie, he gets pushed down, but he's a fraction of a point outside of the top 10.
Right, but I mean, in terms of if you're looking at a tandem that I would want, if you're going to pair your goalie tandems up together, I think that obviously there's playoff teams or whatever that you would want a tandem better, but I might take them. I might grab the Sharks tandem and just roll with them and hope that they continue to get better and as it go along. And even if you end up trading Ned away, that you're going to get a pretty good haul. You know, like if the Sharks do end up fading, you know, like if injuries happen or something, God forbid, and they end up fading, Ned's going to get you a pretty good return, man. Like from a playoff needy team, or if somebody down at the Barracuda is pushing for time at the NHL level, and they need the roster spot for Ned, like you can send Ned somewhere and he'll get you a nice return.
Right.
You know,
What was your basis on the top 10 list here? Was it the save percentage?
just like it was it was the Athletic was putting together like a goalie tandem list. Like which tandem would you want? Like both goalies together combined.
Okay, I gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like the backup and the starter. That's what they were talking about. Oh,
Gotcha.
also it was in Macklin Celebrini's 100th career points. That was also Will Smith's 100th career game. Fun fact. Okay,
Yeah.
so that's my hockey spiel there. I think that's yeah. Upcoming games. So we got to get our win of the week. So we have the home game versus Washington on Wednesday. Then we go on the road. We're at Dallas on Friday, and then we're at Carolina on Sunday. So who do you guys want for win of the week?
I'll take the softball. I'll take Washington.
Okay. How about you, Sam?
I was going to take the lone home game, but I'll take Dallas. I'll say
We'll take Dallas.
We're going to go into Dallas and kick some butt.
All right. You know what? I don't like the 2 p.m. start. I was gonna do Carolina and take the tough one, but the 2 p.m. start is scaring me off. So yeah, you know what? I'm gonna take the scaredy cat path out, and I'm gonna go with Tyler and take the home game. All right, so there we go. We have our win of the week locked in, and as I said before, okay. I think this is probably the last year of win of the week, because the whole concept was this team is bad. We need to find something to cheer for, something, you know, to kind of get ourselves locked in. I don't think we need it anymore, right? But since we started,
loss of the week.
Yeah, but I don't want to do that, you know. Exactly.
We got so many damn wins. When are we gonna lose?
Yeah, I'm not doing it. So the concept of loss of the week is not something I want to do. If we're you know, if we're a podcast that follows the Vegas Golden Knights, I'd be happy to do loss of the week, but I don't want to follow them that closely. So, yeah, and I would choose every game for loss of the week because I want them to lose every game, because screw you, Carter Hart, and screw the Vegas Golden Knights. Okay.
Wait, I saw one thing before we move on here. I saw somebody was asking on the old interwebs here, what do we do with William Eklund at this point, right? Like, do we put him on the top line? Do we put him on the second line? I kind of liked where he was in regards to him helping out with that second line. But one thing that caught my eye here was that somebody was saying that, like, the future, like right now we have Toffoli, we have Smith, we have Celebrini. That's your line one, right? Mm-hmm. And I just got all giddy thinking about this, but the future down the road, just so you guys know, the plan is probably most likely Celebrini, Smith, and Musty at line one, Eklund, Misa, and Chernyshov at line two. I mean, that already sounds pretty fun at my God, man. I cannot wait. I cannot wait until, you know, and then after that, once you're done with those top six guys, you could have Lund, McKinney, and Graf. Like, it's just a constant flow. So I'm excited. I love the Warriors.
Plus the guys that, you know, they took some high risk, high reward guys that, you know, in a year or two, there might be some wild cards in this pipeline that you're like, damn, how did we end up with that guy? You know, so that, you know, Mike Greer did throw darts and took some chances on some guys in the past couple of drafts that they're climbing. You know, they're getting better and better. This they got a lot of talent throughout their system, and that's what's very exciting. And the plan for Eklund, I would say, like there's really no reason to move him. He's still young enough to be part of your core. I don't think he was ever really looked at as like a superstar. I think he was just projected to be really a solid player, and I think that's what he's been. But I'm with you, man. I'm just juiced about every line. Just once these guys start coming up and proving it,
Yeah.
every player, every role, and then with Coach, Warsofsky, I love him. I watch the post game press conferences, and I love the energy. I love that he's motivating the guys, and I said it last week. This team, they're every player you're learning to love because you could see them coming together. You see the camaraderie. But this is the first time in a long time for any sport where I'm like, man, I love the coach, I love the GM, I love the players, because a lot of these guys are just a lot of fun to watch, and they're doing a hell of a job, and I'm juiced, man. It's
I can tell you right now that something that makes me really excited here is that usually obviously the A's are no longer here, but when the A's and the Warriors and the Sharks all played at the same time, it was really hard to pick what was going to be precedent. Like what was I going to focus on, right? Now it's like Warriors and Sharks. What am I going to watch? Let's say last year or the year prior, it was probably going to be the Warriors. But now, man, I'll tell you, I'm watching the Sharks first. I'll watch the recap of the Warriors second, and I think that's super exciting. And it's a good time, like we said, to jump on the train if you're not a Sharks fan. So
this year, especially if the Sharks and Warriors are playing at the same time, I'm like 80-90% Sharks. The only time I'm really watching the Warriors game is when the Sharks are at intermission.
Yeah,
see, what I do is I have the tablet, and so I'll put the whichever game I want to watch more of, I'll put that on the TV, and then I'll have the other game on.
Who's on the big screen?
Yeah, the Sharks are on the big screen.
That's it.
But that's it. That's what I've always. That's how I've always been, though. Is I've always been the hockey guy,
Okay.
So I mean that's been my whole life, So as as somebody who's been a hockey guy for the longest time, I welcome you, Sam. Welcome.
Yeah.
And I welcome everybody else who's joining the Sharks bandwagon now.
What's going to be interesting too is right now they're still figuring out get it better, but at some point, barring health and injuries and let's not go there, but if everybody fulfills their potential, I often wonder about the ratings of a hockey game in the Bay Area if the Sharks were to break through, get a cup, and go on some type of run where you get multiple cups, because that potential is there with this team being this young and this talented. What would the ratings be on the West Coast for a hockey team?
Yeah, that'd be crazy.
Like I think about that, man. Like, dude, like I never would have thought in a million years that the Sharks would be the talk of the Bay Area. But when you have a generational talent with Macklin Celebrini, and then no slouch in Will Smith and Michael Misa on the way, and some of these other young guys, I mean, they could be truly loaded for years to come. And because Mike Greer hasn't given out these crazy contracts, you can, in theory, keep this team together for a very long time. Of course, there's going to be some guys that you can't, but the core, you're talking about, you can keep a lot of these guys together. That's what's crazy to me, is like you could be a team that's competitive and winning for a very long time.
Yep. It's going to be fun.
Right.
It's good times, man.
Yeah,
I'm just thankful that I got my Macklin Celebrini rookie card last year in a pool.
Nice.
So that's my retirement.
Yeah, baby. Yeah, that's great. Just want to make a programming note that over this coming week, the World Cup draw is going to happen. So we might have a little bit of soccer to talk about next week. So just put a note in your cap for that. Just kind of think about that as we go on. So with that though, I think that's a show. That's a full show. We can
let me
up.
do a quick around the horn.
yeah.
Yes, I'm disappointed the Eagles lost 2 games in a row. Yes, I want Kevin Batula fired, and yes, I need them to turn around on Monday nights. Around the horn.
There you go, bud. All right. Anything else for the good of the order? We good?
That's it.
All right. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Catch us on social media at SVT Sports Pod. Sign to them DMs and FJF, and have a good night. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you on the flip side.
Go Birds.
Have a good night, everybody.